Hi, my name is Holly Mexico Brown. I will be presenting and doing the book summary, chapter summary, chapter 6 of the title Escape, written by Murray Sidman. Maybe key factors to change behavior is to alter the contingencies. Consequences determine our conduct. You can see I have a student in my tennis class who really responds to positive reinforcement and praise. I have the task for her to see if she can balance her rackets on the tennis court using the Secret Zapper. You can see she's demonstrating that she is excited and she's really responding to the contingency, which is that positive praise. If we would change the consequences, the behavior would also change. Therefore, if I didn't give her positive praise in the past, this reaction may look a little differently. We're going to take a little bit deeper, close look of behavior analysis. An effective behavior analysis are always experimenting and analyzing by observing whether the critical behavior was changed. They provide an example in the book summary regarding a child wetting the bed. They were wetting the bed and they observed that it was because the child was looking for attention. Therefore, you teach the child to get behavior doing other behaviors, and then the bed wetting would stop. Well, what generates escape? Well, negative reinforcement and punishment. We do whatever we can to turn it off. It's unpleasant for us. And if we do what worked before, we will constantly do it again. Negative reinforcers as punishers, punishment, negative reinforcement, when brought about by the same event, go into a vicious cycle. Well, what's the impact of punishment? Escape. Many don't know they're even doing it because it's such a behavior for them. People escape from relationships, could be because it's too demanding and it's unpleasant. Businesses, maybe they fear of making a mistake or the negative reinforcement they're getting from their supervisor. Or marriages also could escape. If they are subject to negative reinforcement and punishment, it's a fearful relationship it could be, and it leads to escape. Sharing one characteristic of negative and positive reinforcement is that they can change behavior. There is a key difference. And the key difference is negative reinforcement contingencies put students in an unrelaxed, unsettling, and they fear of making a mistake. Where positive reinforcement contingencies places the student in more of a relaxed state to be able to explore and stretch their skills. You can see one of my tennis students on the right-hand side is completing his backhand shot. I continue to emphasize, wow, I love how you're bending your knees. I love how you're stepping with your right foot. I love that you're following through and your racket's touching your back. As I can continue to give these positive reinforcements, that student continues to be relaxed. He is free to explore his stroke mechanics, his racket awareness, his body awareness, and also stretch his skill sets because of the state that he is in. Now, if I were to do the opposite, and say, this is challenging for me because I really do when I'm teaching my students. I always look for all the great things that they're doing. Why are you doing that? I can't imagine that would even work. Why would you hit it that way? And then all of a sudden they become a little bit more of a fixed mindset and very nervous of making those mistakes. You can see effective teaching. And effective teaching is using those positive reinforcements. You can see I am playing the ice cream game with one of my students here. If you can see by their face, they're demonstrating that, again, they're very excited about playing this game. And throughout the lesson, I will always say, what great effort. I love that you are giving your best. And it allows them to be curious. It allows them to expand their skills, have new options, free to indulge. If I were to use negative, they would be afraid. They would escape. They would be fearful. I would provide a tunnel vision for this student if I were to use negative reinforcement. And it would just really allow that student to have stress. Negative reinforcement become negative reinforcers, such as managers who say to their workers, you better produce or else, rather than a pay increase or to provide them with, wow, I see that you really did this well. Wow, I see you really did that well. And giving those positive reinforcers, we all know money is a positive reinforcer, rather than threatening them, because then all of a sudden they are fearful, as you can see that person shaking that their coffee's almost ready to spill. And because of that, the companies have a high turnover rate. It's more of a unhealthy environment. Coercion comes in two forms: negative reinforcement and punishment. They give examples in the book. They talk about in the academics world. If a school is a negative reinforcer, the student exit behavior is strengthened. The student does not want to be there. When the student in the academic world and admin focus so much on the test scores, and they focus the child on getting a good test score rather than the actual information they're learning and or the growth of their learning or the progression of their learning, or meeting the student where they are and building on that rather than comparing them to students who've experienced probably some very different things regarding some questions that could be on the test. They are preparing and setting those students up for failure because of the negative reinforcements of the grade and just focusing on the grade. And the students that have the test scores that are low have more escape. Students who have test scores that are doing well are more likely to continue through the education system because they have all those positive reinforcements, because that's what the teachers are focusing on. Now, if they would focus on the progress of the student, meeting the student where they are, and focusing on their growth, the students would have a different experience because the consequence has been different. Now, the students who enter school and they are feeling that they're getting that negative reinforcement, whether it's bullying, whether it's a teacher making comments, whether it's grading, the school itself becomes the punisher, and this becomes a cycle. You get negative reinforcement at the school, and the school itself, the child doesn't want to go into because it becomes the punisher. So I'm tasking everyone with the question of, explain a time when you observed someone using negative reinforcement, and if you were given a chance, what would you do to change that person's behavior? And I got the reference out of Sidman's book. Thanks for watching.